This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
Our bellies may still be a little full, but I think the Thanksgiving fog has finally cleared. Alex Dingman, Scott McLean, Financial Insanity. Hope you had a great holiday. And Scott, today we got to talk about this volatile 2022. Is it time to consider rebalancing? Do we have higher taxes coming? What kind of moves should we be making? All of that coming up on today's program, Scott. I know you're doing well. I know you're excited. You got new energy here. It's always, this time of year is just great because you're putting the bow on your year. You're saying, all right, what can I finish up? What have I accomplished? And then we're looking forward to 2023, Scott. What are some things that people should be thinking about, especially if maybe they've had a negative news with their portfolio this past year?
What a great lead in. If you're looking at your investment portfolio, those you right now, and you're kind of saying, you're scratching your head, maybe I'll just shove it under my mattress and take a nap. And then you wake up from the nap and you're in the same place. What I think about this market, it has been really challenging. And if you listen to all the shows, whether it's a Bloomberg or CNBC or the Mad Dog or whatnot, there's so many different things going on. When you look at the numbers and you see the unemployment, people need to hire people, self-employed, yet they're not filling the role. Well, does that mean we're in a recession? And yet on the other side, we see the price of goods and services, and they're blaming it on the supply chain. Is that real? And then we see the inflation going crazy, the price of gas. There is just so much, so many challenges out there. You don't know which to turn right, turn left. It's almost like you're driving down the road and the light turns yellow. Do you floor it or not? So thanks for listening, first of all. Alex was talking about the tax season and strategies to make. And of course, where do you invest the money? And this is very important. Why people give us a call in our studios so often, Alex, is they give us a call at 609-488-4646 because they want to know, where should they go? Should they go into a fixed bucket or should they ladder CDs? And as I see tax season coming on, as you know, Alex, we do taxes at our firm. And for our financial clients, it's for a whopping $110 for a federal and state tax return for our financial clients. It's not why we built the practice, but because people need help with taxes. Well, taxes, along with the stock market, along with what do you do next? And so if you're listening right now, it's probably a good time to get maybe a second opinion. Maybe, you have this on your shoulders. Should you jump in the market? Should you jump out of the market? Should you close your eyes and stick your head in the sand like our wonderful ostrich friends, but nothing is exposed but your vitals? Not a very good sign. So if you're considering your tax season right now, taxes could be going up. You consider about reallocating your money. It is not a time to sit on your laurels. It's a time to take action. And, it's easy to do nothing, but easy could be sleazy sometimes because you could be losing a lot of money, Alex. Don't you think? I mean, your friends, and Alex, you're a young man. Maybe the younger people aren't worried about taxes. Alex, when you look at how old are you, Alex?
36.
All right, so you're a young stud. If you reverse the
thanks,
age,
Scott, man.
If you reverse the age, that's me, 63. I'll be 64.
That's why we get along so well.
But you see, there's so many choices you young people thinking about. And by the way, we're talking about you out there that have children. They're probably not thinking about the stock market, and they have time. But you that are my age and older, you're thinking, I don't have that much time left. Where do I put my money? And there are some great tools, investment tools in the universe of investments that right now I've seen wonderful tools at fixed rates at 5.5. I believe they could be heading to 6 any day now. And so when people call us, we can shop it out. So it's not just a bank CD, which everybody runs to because they don't know where to go. This is where they need a good advisor, someone to call on. So I hope your advisors are keeping up to date in the following areas we spoke at the beginning of the show. Is the taxes. They could be going up for sure. Number 2, should you be doing some tax strategies? I think we alluded to that in the beginning. Some strategies on taxes. And number 3, maybe you need to sit back, get a second opinion, and maybe reallocate your investments. And I can tell you that's what we're doing on a continual basis with our clients because this is all we do. This is what I love. And Alex, when you're younger, you stud Alex is 36 years old. Alex, let me ask you something. You talk to the people out there right now, working with me for so long now. Are the young people worried? Are you guys worried about your stock portfolios, or you just say, "Hey, I don't care. I'm going to be a long term before I retire. I'm not that worried about it." What goes through your mind?
Well,
what do you think they're kids?
It's interesting, and like Scott, it all comes down to education. Some people, I'm lucky. I get to talk to great people like you, and you help educate me, and so I'm aware of the stock market and how, hey, you just write it out. If you stay in it over the long term, you're going to be fine. So I'm not a person who's somebody who's active. I'm in, out, that kind of thing. It's like, hey, I'm in for the long haul. I'm good. But I think it comes down to that education because there's a lot of different things thrown out there for everybody, but that young people are consuming when it comes to money that maybe isn't correct. But you know how it goes on social media. Sometimes people see things and they don't follow up to know what the facts are. And so I do think that's why it's so important. If you do have questions, a guy like Scott can help you out. And the number is 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646, because one thing people need to look at, and we can do it at the end of the year, we can do it anytime though, is to see if people are taking on too much risk with their retirement savings. I know that's something that you can really help people analyze.
It is. People are taking a lot of risk. I have people coming in. Just think about you guys out there. You're in the airplane. I'm the pilot, and you're in the seat of the airplane. Plane is up in the air. It's cruising at a beautiful 35,000 feet in the air, and it's wonderful. All of a sudden, the plane hits an air pocket. Can you guys imagine this? It hits an air pocket. Meanwhile, you're drinking your cup of coffee. Your beautiful spouse is drinking a soda pop or something, and you're eating peanuts, and all of a sudden, the peanuts are in your hair. The soda pop and the coffee is all over your shirt. But me as the pilot, well, I didn't spill a thing. Why? Because I'm used to volatility. And so what I find in my industry is you guys got all this food and muck and all over your body because you're in the back of the plane dropped, you don't know how to handle it. But the driver, the pilot, the advisor has been through this. And this is where the advice really comes in to play, Alex. Like you well said, for people that are younger, your kids right now, if you're listening to me, your kids could actually dollar cost average in the market and do tremendously well over the next 20, 30 years. Now, for those of you that are pulling money out, it's not called dollar cost averaging anymore. It's called reverse dollar cost averaging. In other words, Alex, when you reverse dollar cost average, you're actually pulling out the same amount of money, let's say $2,000 a month. But if the stock market is going down, when the stock market goes down, the price of the stock goes down, right? And when the price of the stock goes down, you have to sell more shares to give you that consistent $2,000 a month. And that's called reverse dollar cost averaging. I call it cannibalization of your portfolio. I call it the great Casper the Friendly Ghost. Your money is evaporating and you don't even know it. So for those people out there, encourage your kids to please, as I tell Alex and all my young clients, their children, please invest money, save money. Don't worry about the markets. It's going to keep going like it has. It's going to be up and down, but you have time. But for older people like myself, those that are nearing retirement or that are in retirement, this is not a time to set it and forget it. This is a time to sit down, go to the pilot, who's been through this turmoil of the markets, the ups and downs, the coffee in the hair of their clients and the peanuts all over the place, and you're scared and not know what to do. This is a reactionary, and in the science of mindset is critically understanding what should you do. This is where you need to go to the right kind of pilot. A pilot has been doing this for now in our field 41 years and going strong for another 41, God willing. But again, as we started this segment of the show, allocating your money, make sure don't set it and forget. We spoke at the beginning about taxation, how taxes could really evaporate your money, as well as reverse dollar cost averaging, Alex. I think that's important as we think about, aligning your money. Here we're going into 2023, I think it is, Alex. Right around
I
the
know.
corner.
I had to think too. I'm like, what?
It's so
year?
quick, isn't it?
Well, and talk more about that, Scott, if you would. And again, if you have questions, Scott can probably answer it for you. 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. If he can't answer it, well, he knows other smart people who may be able to answer it as well. But here's something right in your wheelhouse as far as strategies for being more tax efficient, for people concerned about taxes increasing in the future. Volatility in the stock market's one thing, taxes another great concern. How can people be more tax efficient?
Well, this is a great question. To be more tax efficient, as we speak about this area, it's your advisor should look at your tax returns at least once a year. Whether he or she does tax returns, the firm doesn't do them, the advisor should be looking at the tax returns every year. Why? Well, number one, this year you might be working, next year you may not. This year your spouse passed away, next year you become a single taxpayer. This year you're taking care of you and your lovely spouse, and maybe one of your children have passed away, got sick, you have to take care of them, or maybe they went to the wrong side of the railroad track and they're doing things they shouldn't do, and now you become a new mom and dad, or I should say grandparent, but you're raising the kids. Every one of those situations, well, they change, and they change your tax bracket. And when they change your tax bracket, I call it the Muhammad Ali. That's right. Bang, you got hit. And when you get hit, you didn't know it was coming. That's why he was so famous. And so if you're going to do the Muhammad Ali shuffle, this is where you need someone to guide you through these troubling waters of taxes. Taxes tell another story of where to invest. Just, Alex, I know you're not going to believe this to me. Guys, listen to me. If you're listening to me right now, that's right, you're listening to me right now. We were doing a portfolio and looking at a client that came in. They came from a radio show. It was a potential client, by the way, and they wanted a second opinion. And they were smart to get a second opinion. That's what smart people do. And I look at their portfolio, and I asked one of our advisors here, I said, George, come here, take a look at this. And not to embarrass the guy because he didn't know, they've had the advisor for over 8 years. And I noticed they had tax-free municipal bonds. Let me say it again, tax-free municipal bonds, and they were put inside of an IRA. Now, let me tell you how bad that is. That would be like putting oil and vinegar and having a good slug and drink it. That's going to cause some problems. Well, in this case here, you're putting a tax-free investment into a taxable investment, which does two things. If you're getting a tax-free investment, well, your yield's going to be a little bit lower. But if you're paying tax on a yield that's lower, you're actually getting a lesser of a return. I couldn't believe how messed up this portfolio was, but I didn't want to tell, if you're listening to me, sir, that when you came in, I'm not picking on you, but people need to understand this. They just don't know what's going on because the advisor didn't look at the tax return. And when I said to the dear gentleman, I said, when you bought the municipal bond and you put it into an IRA, my question to you is, when you ask the advisor, why did he do it? What did he say? And he said, well, I didn't know to ask that question. You see, not knowing the questions to ask, which is why when I wrote the book, The Three Blind Mice, how the financial planning process leads your money to a mousetrap. The reason I was talking about that, Alex, is because this tax return told me, A, wrong investments. B, let's look at the other investments. Maybe we can shift them around. Or C, should he, obviously change the portfolio, but also discuss, should he do a Roth conversion or maybe ladder the Roth or his investments into a Roth to reduce taxes when he has to take the requirement of distribution? So there's a lot on the taxes. If you just turn the radio on right now, we're talking about taxes. We're talking about excessive taxes, or maybe not paying attention to tax return. And at the beginning of the show, Alex was bringing up maybe reallocating your portfolio because the market is pretty wacky right now. And if you're in the plane with me, you need to be in the plane with the pilot who's been through this before.
Great way to put it. 609-488-4646. 609-488-4646. 7 easy to avoid retirement risks. That is coming up. More from Scott McLean on the way. This is Financial Insanity.
Hi, this is Bonnie from McLean Advisory Group, wishing you comfort, hope, and joy. Happy holidays. Thanks for listening.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman along with Scott McLean. And today, that's right, baby. Ready for us. Today, we're talking about 7 easy to avoid retirement risks. We're going to go through them. Easy to avoid. I mean, that's
easy, Alex.
That's
Alex,
what it's. I know nothing's easy, Scott. I know it's all relative, my friend. So maybe easy isn't the right word, but maybe it's possible to avoid these retirement risks. We at least would maybe do that. People look forward to retirement, of course, all the relaxing and enjoying activities that we've not had the time to do. Maybe reading more, traveling, exercising, but as we transition into retirement, there's a lot of things that, we just didn't realize that we're going to be there when we crossed over that threshold as far as our way of living. Yeah. I mean, there are risks to that. I mean, that is one of the biggest fears, obviously, is running out of money. So let's go through these 7 easy to avoid risks. And if something resonates with you, if you have questions, give Scott a call, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. If you have questions, Scott is here to answer them. So, risk number 1, living too long. Explain that one, Scott.
We all want to live long. You think about Methuselah. You think about in the Old Testament. There's only one guy actually kind of walked out of this picture in the Old Testament, and he didn't die. He just went on. I think about so many people. We all want to live a long life as long as it's healthy. And then, of course, challenges. When I was looking in the year 2000, I think 50,000 people, I think you gave me some stats also, that 50,000 people who lived to age 100 or older by 2050 is projected. So I'm kind of thinking about this, and that number is expected, by the way, to reach 1 million. So we're going to live a lot longer. I was reading a book called Life Force. Tony Robbins did. Wonderful book for those of you who really like to read and learn about the new stuff that's coming out, the scientific, the medical journey, what's happening in the supplements. Life Force is a great book. You might want to get your hands on as I was reading it. And we're going to live a lot longer. And the new stuff that's coming out is just amazing. These young kids and doctors that are really just coming around. But we're living too long. And I think that's, as I mentioned before, we're talking about the 7 easy to avoid risks. Well, it's not easy to keep healthy. You got to work out. You got to eat right. We all love sweets, which are very bad for you, but I love sweets. But the challenge is could you live too long? Maybe you think you're going to pass away. I've got a very close friend. We'll call him Raphael. And Raphael is a beautiful friend of mine for many, many years. And when we were doing this planning, he kept saying during the planning stage, well, Scott, my mom and dad died at 65 and 67. I'm 63. I probably will make it to 70. I've got a heart condition. I said, Ralph, my friend, what if you make it longer? Today, Ralph is 73 and he ran out of money. He doesn't have it left. He was burning so much cash in his portfolio. And I said, Ralph, please, you have to spend this. Scotty, I'm not going to make it. Well, he made it and he is still healthy. He didn't have his parents' ailments. So number one risk, if I were to say the 7 easy to avoid retirement risk, this isn't easy to avoid, but you work out hard, obviously. He's doing well. Don't run out of money.
Yep.
Are you planning to live a good, long life? I hope you are. And I think that's the hope and dream of that. So number one risk, living too long.
Risk number 2, as we're going through 7 easy to avoid retirement risk in retirement. The second one, explain this one, Scott, spending principal.
Boy, what a great risk number 2 as you think about living too long. Imagine living too long and you're spending the principal as my boy Ralph did, and you can spend principal without knowing it. In other words, the stock market goes up and your portfolio went up 20%. You say, well, heck, I'll just take out that 20%. And the next year the market drops 15%, but you pull out the same amount of money, not understanding that reverse dollar cost averaging, as I mentioned in one of my segments in our shows, that you could actually burn down principal much faster. And the reverse dollar cost averaging, if those of you listening right now, if you're not clear on how reverse dollar cost averaging or dollar cost averaging works, please do yourself a favor. Please, if you have a pen and paper, write this down. Get ready. This is very important. If you're not sure how reverse dollar cost averaging is in light of dollar cost averaging, write this down, 609-488-4646. Again, 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you off the air because number 2 is very easy to avoid, meaning you're not paying attention. And when you're not paying attention to something, here you are living a long life. You got 30 years left, almost like a 30-year mortgage. And in reverse, you start paying the mortgage payments and you're not paying back the principal at all. Pretty soon, you start paying the principal and you're down to zero. My question to you guys out there, are you watching how the money is lasting? Should you reallocate? We spoke in our previous show, we talk about allocating your money in this volatile stock market. Perhaps you need to allocate your money to get some kind of vehicle that'll give you income for life for yourself or yourself and your spouse, your significant other. So both of you have a income that will last a good long time. Because what happens is if you're married out there, have a significant other, well, one of you, if you're married, are going to lose the Social Security. So your husband dies, wife dies, your spouse dies. The highest of Social Security transfers to the other, but you lost a significant amount of money. So I think that's really important. You think about taking a pool of savings worth, let's say, $1 million. You're generating 5% per year. That's $50,000, Alex. Now, Alex, you're getting $50,000 even if you just take a little bit more of that $50,000, just a small amount of your principal of your $1 million savings, it will be depleted. It will evaporate. So when people say, well, I've got a lot of money, well, okay, how are you spending it? Are you being frugal? Or in my family, when you're Jewish and Scottish, you're really cheapish. You really got to watch, am I spending too much principal? It's easy to do, Alex, very easy. So I guess number 1 was living too long, but then you're spending too much money. That's principle number 2. Be very, very careful, Alex. People need to be aware of that.
Man, the whole Scottish and cheap thing really resonated with me. You've never met my father, but yeah. And if you heard me right now, he'd be nodding his head. Yes, in agreement. 609.
No, my dad was the same way. My dad was very frugal.
Hey.
And he watched every dime. You didn't turn the lights out in the bedroom, you get yelled at. And if you don't do it the second time, you might get a little spanking. And I grew up in that. And I didn't understand it. I was pissed, really ticked off that he would get mad at me. But
sure,
I do the same thing with my kids. And now I'm a grandparent. If I see my little grandson turn the light off.
Well, those lessons that the great folks who lived through the Depression and the lessons that they tried to trickle down to people, and sometimes that ended up being your parents who then were telling you to turn the light off because of the bill.
If you'd like to get a copy of my book, The Three Blind Mice, How the Financial Planning Process Leads Your Money to a Mousetrap, please give our studios a call. We'll make it available to anybody. We'd love to help you as long as we have any left, because I think this book will guide you through all of the jungles and the quagmires, the ruts in the road. As you are in your investments with your investment advisor, you ask wise questions. So again, I'd like to throw it out there. If you would like to give us a call at our office. Now, Alex, you were saying that the simple mistakes that people are making: number one, living too long; number two, spending down principal. And then I think you wanted me to talk about something that was really hitting all of us right now. What was that? Number three, Alex?
Inflation, and maybe underestimating it could be a risk for sure.
I bought my house in Ocean Gate, New Jersey, and I paid $42,500. And that was when my mortgage payment was right around, interest rate was around 13.5, and I was happy as a pickle in a barrel. And then I saw mortgage rates jumping up to 16 and 17%. You know what? I felt pretty excited. Then I saw the mortgage rates come so I could refinance and reduce my rates. But this is inflation in the worst and the best. So how do you take care of it? And so we're all feeling it. You're feeling it out there. When you go to the pump and you grab that nozzle, or if you're getting it pumped by yourself or having someone do it, and you look at the bill. And of course, I filled up my diesel the other day for $5.98 it was. And I just got 17 gallons, and I like, holy bananas. Not that we couldn't afford it. I don't want to overpay. Again, I said I'm very, very frugal. And so I always shop for the best price. Inflation has a way of getting away. Like the price I bought for my house in Ocean Gate, I bought it for $42,500 and sold it for $125 just 3 years later. I got lucky. You think about a baby coming out of the oven, beautiful little kid, beautiful child. God's blessed the child. No matter what condition it is, you're blessed with this beautiful infant. And later on in life, it grows. That's inflation on a child, from a little beautiful kid coming out. So now it's a older child. And so the question is, things change. How do you get around it? Well, we want the kid to grow, but we don't want to keep paying more for our products. And so I hear so many stories. It's the supply chain, Alex. The supply chain is so bad. That's why we have inflation. I heard that on the radio or TV from one of the government pundits. And there's so many quote unquote excuses, but it's still coming out of your pocket. When you live a lot longer, you're going to be going to McDonald's and you're going to get a Happy Meal. And pretty soon you're going to have to split that Happy Meal with your spouse because it's so expensive. And that's inflation. Inflation could really evaporate your money. When evaporate your money, A, you live too long. B, now you got to spend more money, or you're spending down principal. And three, inflation is I call it a hidden, the grim reaper. It just shows up, and that could be disastrous.
Scott, we have time for one more. We're going through 7 easy-to-avoid retirement risk in retirement. Before we take a break, let's go to risk number 4, staying invested in the stock market too long. We know staying in the stock market for a long time is a good idea generally, but what are we talking about if we're saying staying in too long?
The stock market has market cycles, and I've go this over every one of my workshops, Alex. This is unique that as we speak about the challenges, risks we have, what people don't understand is the stock market history. The history of the stock market has cycles. And if you've been to one of my classes, you've heard me from 1899 to 1921, the price to earnings ratio was around 30 and the market dropped. Then the market took off from 1921 to 1929. This cycle of the boom market took off, the bull market. And it was just from 1921 to 1929. This was a nice short period the market took off. Then it evaporated again and it dropped. And it dropped again from 1929 to 1954. If you're not writing this down, if you're driving right now, this is important. Not understanding the stock market cycles, which is a full stock market cycle, about 35, 36 years. So from 1929 to 1954, imagine pulling money out and the market's dropping for that 25 years. Then from you go that period of time, now we're going into a bull cycle of the market. When the market 1954, the market took a poop. Now it's going to come back. 1966, the market took off. But then it turned back again. It dropped again. So from 1966 to 1982, the market didn't come back. It went nowhere from point to point. Imagine the stock market is at 1,000, and here it is. 25 years later, it's still at 1,000. How you invest your money, staying invested in the long period, for those of you in retirement periods or heading into retirement, this is critical. You pay attention to allocating or putting your money in the right buckets of money that will absolutely not evaporate, having income that we all deserve, we all want for the rest of your life. So this cannibalization of your money. Then here it is from those of you listening right now, from 1982 to 2000 was the fastest bull cycle in the United States history. 1982 to 2000. I studied this because I was ready to get out of the business, Alex. I don't know if you know this. I was ready to leave the business in 2000 to 2003 when the market dropped 50%. And I was told by the big firm I was with, hang in there, don't worry, it'll come back. Why? Because they're worried about the company profits, not about my clients. Then here it is, 2000, the bottom of 2008. Well, what happened? Well, the market dropped from 2000 to 2003, came back by 2007 and broke even, then dropped again, which is people wasn't aware of, 60%, 60. By 2009, everybody says 2008. Well, the bottom was 2009 and then came back. Imagine from 2000 to 2013, you made no money. 13 years of a done. For those of you that are invested, not understanding market cycles, this is where you want to say, Scott, how does a market cycle affect me? How does it affect my inflation? Am I spending too much principal? Number two, and number one, am I outliving my area? So the 4 areas that Alex brought up with us today, if you're in that boat, please do yourself a favor, do your spouse, your family, your kids a favor. Pay attention, because the next 3 areas we talk about, the unexpected events that are coming down the line, please don't turn me off now. You want to pay attention, because this is critical, because the biggest mistakes in retirement could be made because you're not paying attention, or the advisor's trying to sell you, not educate you. This is important. So please stay on your game. Pay attention to market cycles, as Alex mentioned.
And if you have questions, give Scott a call, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Going through 7 easy-to-avoid risks in retirement. We've done 4. We got 3 left. That is coming up. This is Financial Insanity.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
Welcome back to Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman along with Scott McLean. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, and if you have any questions, give us a holler, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Today, going through 7 easy-to-avoid risks in retirement. And we started this off by risk number 1, living too long. Risk 2, spending principal. 3 was underestimating inflation. And we wrapped up the last segment talking about staying invested in the stock market too long due to the different cycles that we know happen with the market. Yeah. So now, moving on, 3 left here. And our first one, another underestimation we can make. And in this one is in regard to healthcare costs. And I know that one's tough, Scott, because people always think that they're 10 feet tall and bulletproof until something happens. And so talk a little bit here about that risk, underestimating healthcare costs.
I went to the Florida and went water skiing, and I haven't skied in almost 35 years. I jumped in the water and I couldn't get up. I used to ski at Cypress Gardens. I skied all over the place, water skied. I jumped, I hang glide. I did a lot of fancy water skiing, and I was mad at myself I couldn't get up. I thought I was 18. In my brain, I was 18 years old. Right. My body was a lot older, even though I do work out and thought I was in shape. Boy, healthcare could be expensive. My buddy was saying he did the same thing, and he tried to jumpstart one ski, slalom ski, and he pulled his groin, and he was in the hospital. Healthcare costs, they come up suddenly. One day you feel great. The next day you can't even walk down the stairs. One day you feel like $1 million. The next day you feel like a dollar bill or less. And I think the cost of the healthcare is extra. It's just amazing how it's gone up. Now the government's trying to fix that. And obviously it's going to continue going up. Hopefully there'll be no medications, new stuff for us. But this means for those of you who are retiring, you got to pick what medication plan, what Medicare plan you're going to pick out, what option is. We want to guide people with this area. And those people in the 60s, currently the cost of family, the health care is right around $200,000. You figure the cost of someone being taken care of is home health care about $200,000. Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say you're going to stay home and have your kids take care of you. That's not going to happen most of the time. Maybe you want to pull money out and you're going to get a full-time health care worker that I have with one of our clients, and his wife has MS. He is taking care of his lovely wife, but he's got a full-time person. He's spending around $80,000 a year, and he's at his own house. So good quality health care. And you now you start throwing into an inflation. That 200,000 could easily be 800,000, or perhaps that 100,000 could be 400,000. It doesn't matter. It costs a lot of money. Pay attention to those areas. Please get in shape, work out. You know what's right to do. We all have 24 hours a day, I guess. And I'm talking to myself, by the way, Alex, working that extra 1 hour a day, just working out could be vital, and eating the right food. But healthcare costs are going out of control.
That is for sure. All right, risk number 6. Got 2 left, going through 7 easy to avoid retirement risks. This one here, Scott, changes in policies or government programs. Well, that never happens. What are you talking about?
It never happens. Yeah, no. Think about they change policies all the time. They're giving away free money the last few years. Now we have rapid inflation because we got too much money chasing too few goods. Now we have another issue, inflationary, which is now hitting our health care, which we just spoke about. And now the government wants to reduce Social Security. Think about Social Security, Alex. It's already slated on the table to be reduced if they don't fix this deal.
Right.
And you think, whoa. If I'm getting $1,000 a month and there's a 23% reduction, which is already slated, well, that means if I'm getting $1,000 a month, that means I'm getting $230 less. Ugh. Now, I don't know about you, but that means you have to drive one car, not 2 cars.
Right.
Or maybe buy a Happy Meal and split the Happy Meal with you and your lovely significant others or your kids. It's out of control. So when the government, that's why we have to really pay attention and we have to vote. I'm not going to go on any Republican or Democrat or independent. You got to go out and vote, but you got to know the issues. And the issues for those of us that are getting older, like myself, Alex, you're a baby. You have nothing to know what I'm talking about, but you got a mom and dad. And the most important thing is, by the way, Alex, is your grandpa and grandma alive?
I do have a grandma who is nearly 100, my friend. Very, very close. Knock on the door of 100. So I do
Get out.
I do have a grandma on my mom's side, still kicking and loving to see her great grandchildren at this point.
Oh wow, that is I got bad genes. My genes are all ripped. My mom and dad died at 74, 75. My grandpa and grandmama, they died at 84, 85, and my mom's grandma died at 86. And my grandfather, my mom's side, he died in an accident driving a truck. So we'll just leave that one out. But I got bad juices. You got good ones. That's exciting. But for those of you who have maybe genes that aren't that exciting, maybe you go to Wrangler or Levi's, but that's not a gene I'm talking about. But the genes of course, government programs, how the government program could change and shift the way you're taking income, the way you pull money out of your 401ks or your IRAs, 403bs. This is a critical change. When the government says you inherit money from your parents, called an inherited IRA, and now you have to pull it out over 10 years. How do you structure, for those of you about to receive money, listen to me, about to inherit money because maybe mom and dad or maybe a child passed away, sibling passed away. I deal with this all the time. This is all I do. And this is why you want to watch with the government, how you're going to be taxed. We talked about taxes earlier, but how you're going to be taxed on that money and how do you structure this in line of Social Security along with the government rules. This number 6, changes in policies or government programs could be really disastrous if you're not paying attention to this on a yearly basis, Alex. So please, if you want questions, by the way, I got answers. You got questions, I got answers. 609-488-4646. I'd love to help you with it. Give me a call off the air, 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you. Alex, what was number 7? I know there's 7 of them.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to bring it out.
Let's put a bow on this, my friend. Touchdown and an extra point. We got 7. Easy to avoid retirement risk. We laugh a little bit at the word easy, but we're going to go ahead and call this easy. But here's the last risk. Risk number 7, unexpected events. And you've hinted to this, Scott, but you can't plan for everything, my friend.
Can't, Alex. The unexpected events is one of the areas you live too long. We want to live long as it's healthy. You know, guys out there, the unexpected events, and I deal this all the time. The lovely spouse passed away, but they didn't know when they came in for a second opinion that they weren't going to get their spouse's pension. Unexpected risk, unexpected event. And now they're worried about living on cat food versus real food. Now, we also speak about this. I'm not making light of this because could wreak tremendous havoc on people's lives when you're living on a nice income and all of a sudden it's changed overnight. One day you're healthy. A client came in here and now his beautiful spouse has multiple sclerosis. She was beautiful. She came in here before she had it. Today, she can't even sit up in a chair straight up and down. The disease came out of nowhere. This changes lives. Can you plan for it? No, you hit your knees and you go to the God above and say, hey, Jesus, I need help, or whoever you pray to. I need a plan. I need a game plan. For those of you, don't do it yourself. Get someone who's done it for so many people. Or maybe you have an estate issue. Will, power of attorney, living will, and you go to the hospital and your mom and dad are probably sick or something, and you go there to help them and you don't have the power of attorney for healthcare matters or the power of attorney for financial matters. This unexpected event will pay attention to all the details. So, Alex, and for those people that are younger listening, guys, make sure your parents' legal documents are up to date. Oh, by the way, make sure yours is up to date. Dust them off. Take a look. We don't know what life has. We don't know what's given. The grass withers, the flower fades. But I can tell you the word stands forever. I don't know where you guys stand out there listening to me, but in a wonderful season we're in, we're feeling good today. Okay, great time to plan. Let's plan for the good, the bad, and what's that movie?
Yeah.
Ugly, right? So, and I think when you think about this, because we don't know what lies ahead, because I can tell you the loss of one income from a spouse could be disastrous. Or maybe having to take care of your mom or dad and didn't think you had to, and now you have to leave work early. We've gone through that with our clients. I wasn't planning on retiring, Scott, at 61. I know you in our notes, it says you want to retire at 65, 66. Well, my mom needs my help and I'm going to be taking care of her.
Yep.
Game changer.
And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's the adult child that
oh my
needs
goodness,
more
that's
help.
exactly right. We have special needs kids out there that have to be taken care of. All of a sudden your child maybe gets in a traffic accident. And now you're raising their kids, your grandkids.
Sure.
Life has a way of sometimes being not unfair, but it seems unfair.
Yeah.
It's what's in the cards. Guys, we just spoke, and Alex brought up in the show 7 issues, 7 concerns that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Concerns that are really important to you as we plan, as we go into a new segment of life, procrastination. As we go into 2023, or as you're planning for your future, as those going into retirement, we spoke about it. And let me give you a quick rundown, as Alex did very well. Number one, we talked about your monies, and we talked about several different risks. If you're concerned about your money, that's all we do. 609-488-4646. Seems simple. Seems like you'll never forget it, but it happens. Give me a call off the air, 609-488-4646. I'm here for you. Guys, I'm right around the corner, right across from ShopRite. You'll see the beautiful building, the Lighthouse. We're here. We're for you. Thanks for taking time with us. We wish you the very best. I hope this is helpful for you guys, as we talk about the risks, the 7 risks in retirement.
Yes, and Scott, you did such a great job going through them. Risk 1, living too long. Risk 2, spending principal. Risk 3, underestimating inflation. 4, staying invested in the stock market too long. You had 5, underestimating healthcare costs. 6, changes in policies or government programs. 7, unexpected events. And if you have any questions for Scott, you can give him a call always at 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Just add a .com for the website. And
Great job, Alex.
We have more Financial Insanity with Scott McLean coming up.
Hi, this is Bonnie from McLean Advisory Group, wishing you comfort, hope, and joy. Happy holidays. Thanks for listening.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
Lots to think about when you're heading into retirement. One of those things is whether or not you should continue working. This is the Retirement Yay or Nay segment. So, a survey by Express Employment Professionals, a staffing agency, indicating 79% of workers between 57 and 75, 79%, nearly 8 out of 10, say they would rather be semi-retired rather than fully retired. Scott, does that make sense? And what are some possible pros and cons to this kind of approach?
What a crazy statement. I remember I laughing because I'm thinking about mom and dad. And I remember when daddy retired and he calls me up. I'm in New Jersey. He's in Florida in Jacksonville. And he says, son, I got to get a job. I said, but daddy, you're retired. Son, I want you to understand I love your mother. I just can't be around her all day.
Hey, you got to be honest in relationships,
And I started laughing. I didn't understand. I was a lot younger than I am now. And, good thing mom and dad are in heaven hanging out waiting for me.
Heck yeah.
Got good news, they can wait. But that stays in my mind when you made that statement because, first of all, I don't know how people can turn the engines off. Me, I'm looking at expanding my firm, but other people are enjoying their retirement. God bless everyone. The question is, when you retire, the hard challenge is, should you keep working? Well, find something. If you love your job, then frankly, you're not working. That's me. I don't have to work. We're blessed enough. I love our clients. I love people. I will continue to work until God calls me home, as far as it looks right now. And luckily, he hasn't called me. The second thing is other people maybe want to try a different vocation. Maybe they go from being a nurse, a doctor. Maybe they're a toll collector. Maybe they're a sanitation engineer. Well, that's okay, but they want to do something else and they want to find something. So maybe they want to work. So I can't answer that question for anybody here, but dadgummit, my best friend in Jacksonville, Florida, Dale, always makes fun of me because I want to work 100 miles an hour. That guy could sit in his yard, sit around the campfire and have a couple adult beverages and enjoy life. Good old Southern boy. We grew up since age 6. And he always makes fun of me and teasingly because I'm 100 miles an hour. Difference of personalities. Dale likes to rake his yard. I like talking to clients. I can afford someone to rake my yard, but I love talking. So what is your vocation? Don't just leave to leave. There's got to be a compelling reason. Maybe you want to travel with your beautiful spouse or husband, wife, and maybe you want to take a trip. Maybe you want to take care of dogs and or cats, and maybe you want to get in that. Maybe you want to go out and maybe start a lawn service part-time because you love taking care. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you, you better have some type of game plan because you could be watching Price is Right, and that crap gets older, I can tell you. For sure. So let's say you're 65 years old. You want to go from company A and you have a 401k and you want to go to company B and it has a 403b. Well, and you love your work. One mistake I found is you roll the money over to an IRA. Now, why would that be a mistake? Well, maybe you plan on working a long time. Maybe you should roll it over to the new company if they accept it, so you don't have to take the required minimum distributions at 72. Now, frankly, if you don't think you're going to be working until 72, then you roll it over to an IRA, and you've got a lot of universal products that you could buy or get involved in to protect your money. In these times right now, whether they're good times or bad times, you need to invest that money. So the question number one is, if you're going from job A to job B, should you roll over the money to a plan? Next thing is what choices they give you. This is really important. And in retirement, you know what? If you love what you do, find something else. Speak to your spouse or a significant other. If you're by yourself, maybe you want to go mountain climbing or water skiing like my sport, or just hang gliding like I did. I can tell you there's a lot of fun things, but you got to figure out what you're going to do, and what kind of fun is it going to be? You know, guys, I was thinking about this gentleman who went back to work to celebrate his 100th birthday. This one guy in Jersey, however, decided to do exactly the opposite. His name is Bill Hansen, and he celebrated his 100th birthday by returning back to his work, which he diligently for 32 years loved. And so Fred Hutchinson, the CEO of Hutchinson Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, well, he signed an agreement to go back to the work for one day. And he welcomed with a big birthday cake and a full day of assignments. He loved it. And he took off about 15 minutes after we signed the agreement. He said the agreement, he got to work, and the Hutchinson said he had to spend a lot of time where he could be at the company before he retired at age 97. He didn't have much to say for retirement life. He said, quote, "I hate being retired. I never had a job where I didn't want to go to work in the morning." Hansen said, and he attributes much of his happiness in life to his love of his work, his wife, and his family. You see, for retirement, it could be forever. But what is your forever? Is it working? Is it enjoying life? It's about what you have and the quality of your life. Quality of your life, psychologically we spoke about, emotionally, and financially. Can you do it? Make that decision. I'd love to talk to you. 609-488-4646. This is important.
This presentation may contain information which has undergone regulatory or other significant change since its original recording.
The information on this program is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice and is limited to the dissemination of general information and may not be suitable for members of the listening audience. Communications such as this are not impartial and are provided in connection with advertising and marketing for McLean Advisory Group. Prior to making any investment or financial decisions, an investor should always seek advice from a financial, insurance, legal, or tax professional. McLean Advisory Group and or Scott McLean offer investment advisory and financial planning services through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
This radio show is a paid placement.